Hi, I'm Debbie Peveril, and you're listening to one of a series of posts on pricing. Today, what we're talking about is getting a quote or an engagement letter or a contract before you actually start the work. And this, of course, is important because you don't want any misunderstandings between yourself and your customer about what you were going to do, about they were going to do, and things like when are you going to get paid, are there any timing issues. All of this is nice to get worked out before you start the project. So my story, I had a flooring installer who I'll call Joseph, and the situation here with a lot of contracting and construction is that the conditions on the job site are not always ideal for the work that you've been hired to do. And in this particular case, Joseph is putting down, or supposed to be putting down, a laminate floor. And there's a certain amount of moisture readings that have to take place before you can do that. You have to have a reading on the subfloor, you have to have a reading on the floor if it's going down. And if they're not the same or close enough, then you're going to have a problem with the performance of the floor. So in this particular case, of course, it's a contractor, busy, everything needs to be done yesterday. And Joseph goes to the contractor and says, I can't lay that floor today. The subfloor humidity is far too high compared to the humidity of the laminate, and I can't put it down. The contractor says, no, you have to do it. So now Joseph and you, if you're in this situation, have a decision to make. Do you put the floor down, or do you walk away from the job? Or is there some compromise there? So what should happen, if I was there, what I would recommend is that Joseph take his contract, his quote, whatever invoice he's got, and write on it, there's no warranty on this flooring due to conditions at the time of installation, and have the contractor sign it. And if he did that, then he could put the floor down and he wouldn't have to worry about it anymore, because he had made it very clear what was wrong, and the contractor made the decision to go ahead anyway. In my experience, this isn't what happens. Usually what happens is Joseph decides to lay the floor down, reminds the contractor that he told him it was a bad idea, and then he's going to hear from the homeowner in about 6 months, because that floor is going to cup. It's going to lift up because of the humidity imbalance. And the homeowner is going to be unhappy with the floor. And the contractor will tell the homeowner to call Joseph, because he's the one who put it down. And now we're into a situation of, well, don't you remember I told you it wasn't going to work? Contractor's not going to remember, maybe legitimately, or maybe doesn't remember on purpose. And Joseph doesn't have anything. So this is an issue with anything you do for a customer. Is it clear what you're going to do? Is it clear what the customer is going to do? Have you worked out all of the possible issues around what is happening with whatever you're doing? So, examples of my own practice. In my accounting practice, we have what's called an engagement letter before anybody gets their tax return. And the engagement letter covers the situation of having to report all your income. It talks about our privacy policy. It talks about our payment terms. It talks about what we're going to do for the client. And we have a couple of questions that need to be answered and documented on that letter. And that engagement letter has saved us all kinds of trouble over the years when people say something like, well, I thought you were going to do this, or I didn't know I had to tell you that. And I said, well, it's in the letter that you signed. So, situations where you're dealing with customers and you don't want to have bad feelings with your customer. So the thing to do is to sit down before a job starts and make sure that the customer has told you everything they're expecting, what you're going to do, what they're going to do. You write it all down, you both sign it, and then it's clear. This was what was decided. Because you get into situations, what they call, the he said, she said, or there's two sides to every story. I think there's three sides to most stories. There's what you think, there's what the other person thinks, and then there's the truth. And if you've got it written down, then the truth is what you have written down and that you both signed. So in your business, you need to set a policy that work doesn't take place until it's documented what's going to happen. That you either have the engagement letter, you've got a quote, you've got a contract. That you're not doing work until everybody understands what's going on. And, in conclusion, I would say that if you document all of the decisions that are made between you and your customer, and you get all of that in writing, then you're going to avoid a lot of trouble in your business.